one with I wanna be the one with you. I wanna be the one with I wanna be the one with you. Just
What up, everybody? I'm Caleb,
And I'm Micah.
and we'd like to welcome you to This Life Together.
Oh, baby, you got it on the first take.
It's been a while. I had to make sure I came correct.
Back at it like you never left. So on today's episode, we actually did a poll and took some suggestions from our audience to see what you guys wanted us to talk about. We've been gone for a couple of weeks, still adjusting to married life and really just being in a bliss bubble.
Yeah. I mean, and then to go with that too, though, we have to. It's kind of hard to. I wouldn't say it's kind of hard to do it on a weekly basis, but we still have to live in order to come up with content because our content is not. I don't think we always talk about topics that aren't necessarily pertaining to our life. We try to connect stuff to us. I would like to say.
I think it is about our lives. I think that's kind of
No, that's what I was saying. I think that's we have to still live it.
I think we have been living life. That's why we really haven't had the time.
Right.
But
That's what I was saying.
on today's episode, we're going to be actually talking about gender roles. Now, this subject apparently is like something kind of touchy for some people, especially in the millennial age. And I understand why. But I also don't think that Caleb and I follow gender roles at all.
I don't think we really follow a lot of normalcies, quote unquote, or stereotypes or cliches.
So I would agree. I think it really just boils down to the way that we look at our relationship and the way that we try to function. So we really, really, really try to function and look at our marriage as a partnership and as a covenant. So we don't really try to put these boundaries around who's doing something or when something got to get done. Like if it got to get done, it got to get done. And it's interesting because the whole separate but joint mentality has come up in our finances, but I'll explain a little bit more about that. And it's kind of funny how it has transitioned into being something where we were navigating it to now it's like this really works in our favor. So I don't know. I guess when we first started dating, I feel like we had a pretty thorough conversation about our expectations about who's going to do what, who's not going to do what. And this was one of the topics that came up in our Getting Ready for Marriage book that we read. And when Caleb and I talked about it, he was very, open and honest about the fact that he was not someone who was going to be expecting a wife that was going to be just barefoot and pregnant at home, which a lot of people aren't because that's just not the age that we live in. But
I wouldn't say that. I feel like I know some people that don't want their wives or their girlfriends to do nothing.
Yeah, I mean, that's just not the time that we live in though. Like realistically, that's just not it.
Nah.
And then also my expectation of what a quote unquote man was supposed to do and be in a home was also something that I had to address and we had to address. And I think that was just more so something that I had to address with put my ego in check. So I had these ideas of what a man was supposed to do based off of things that I had been told by my mom or by my grandparents. And to a certain extent, I do believe that a man is supposed to be a protector and a provider. 100%, I agree with that. What I do not believe is a man should have to shoulder all these responsibilities by himself with no help from his wife. And I don't mean that as in you paying your husband's bills. Well, technically they are your bills.
Exactly.
And vice versa. The money thing, like I said, was something that I
don't understand what the connection or what the problem is, but I feel like that usually starts it. It's not really the overarching issue. I feel like it usually starts it though.
For sure. So for me personally, at the beginning of our relationship, I was operating not under the assumption, that's a bad word, under the thought process and the mindset that my husband should be paying for the bulk of everything. My husband should be doing X, Y, and Z in order for me to do A, B, and C. which is not how a marriage is supposed to function in any realm, regardless of whether it's finances, sex, or whatever. It should never be a situation where I'm only giving you A, B, and C if you're doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, no contingency plans.
Because at some point, I'm not going to be doing A, B, and C, but am I still going to be expecting you to do X, Y, and Z? Like, what's going to happen on the days when I fall short?
So, to go back to what you said originally about what we both were agreeing on in terms of us not really succumbing to gender roles, I think a lot of it comes back to our relationship with God and our relationship together with God. And I think that,
and also very much so relationships that we've seen.
That too. But I know for me, a constant reminder is less. I thought it was going to be more of what I saw in terms of examples that I didn't want to repeat.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's more of a constant reminder in terms of like scripture based. So not to get all churchy, but just being real. This is one of my daily things that I make sure I do. It's Genesis 2:18, and the Lord God said, "It is not good that a man should be alone. I will make him a helpmeet for him." Now, to go off of that, it's not just to say, oh, the woman is just supposed to help the man. It's supposed to work both ways. So that's how I think that's how me and Micah kind of go at our relationship. We don't look at for somebody to do this, somebody to do that. It's rather
we're both seeking a common goal.
Yeah, we know what needs to get done.
Right.
Who's going to do it? It's either we come to an agreement, somebody's going to do this, somebody's going to do that. If they fall short, then that's why it's two people rather than one.
Right.
And I think we always look for that in our resolutions, which I think has helped us a lot. It's just that, I'm not expecting you to cook every day. I'm not expecting you to clean up the house by yourself. That's wild. That's why. And I think that just speaks to a lot of the guys too. Like, guys is trifling. Because it's like 9 times out of 10, y'all weren't raised that way. Y'all had to clean up your room. Y'all had to, I wouldn't say y'all was chefing it up, but y'all did have to learn how to take care of yourself. So now you get to the point where you do learn how to take care of yourself, and now you don't want to. So I don't get how people just try to flip the script and try to make it somebody's supposed to do that stuff for you. Because if that's the case, you don't have a significant other or a husband. You got another child. So would you want to be in a relationship with somebody that treats you like a child?
A roommate that you don't like.
Exactly. So
a bad situation.
I think that really boils it down. For me, it's just, how can I be of assistance? That's really how I feel like we always go at it. And I don't know if we don't have a time frame set on it, but I feel like Mike and I always kind of circle back and then just ask each other, like, is there anything that I could be doing better? What can I do to do this better? What can I be doing to do that better? And I think that's always reassuring, because not to say like, oh, it's always something that she's correcting me on, but there's always room for correction. So I think that also, speaks to, just development in a relationship period. Is if you're not allowing yourself to be vulnerable enough for criticism, whether it be harsh or not be harsh, then you're not going to really give yourself that leeway to grow with that person or by yourself.
Yeah, I think something that we tried to establish was that we can say, and I think we even went over this in like premarital counseling, we can pretty much say anything to each other as long as we're saying it and doing it from a place of love.
Mm-hmm.
Like, evidently from a place of love. And to Caleb's point, I'll legit ask, like, randomly out of the blue, like, baby, is there anything that I could be doing to be a better wife to you? Because I want to be a great wife to Caleb. I think Caleb deserves a great wife. And I take, loving him very seriously. And I know he feels the exact same way. Neither one of us have been married before. We don't have examples of what we're looking to be, because we are an example. That's something that we've come to realize also. Like, yes, we know people who are married who have amazing marriages, but that's their marriage and they function on the basis of what works for them. And we have to figure out what really works for us. And establishing that there are not gender roles in our home is one of the ways that helps us function. And I think it's also awesome because if I need something, whether Caleb beats me to the punch and just does it, or even if I have to ask, I know, like, he got me. Like, it's not going to be like, oh, are you a woman? Like, why you need my help with laundry?
That would have went terribly wrong.
I'm not doing it. It's just like, So I don't like to see dishes like piled up in the sink day over day. So like the other day, I legit washed the dishes like 3 times, and Caleb kind of yelled at me like, "Why are you washing the dishes?" And I'm like, "Cause they was dirty." He was like, "Well, you shouldn't have been washing the dishes the last time that you washed the dishes. Go sit down somewhere." Like
She
not
could.
like,
She could.
Like,
So it's like, dude, let me wash the dishes. But I think that's another thing too is like just like I said, earlier, being able to be corrected. You also have to be able to, like, Micah has I feel like she has a guilty pleasure in it. But sometimes I don't know how to sit down. So
I love sitting down.
9 times out of 10, if it's something that she's doing or whatever, and she's just doing it just strictly so I can just not do nothing, because I might just be really just burning myself out.
Works.
No, that's not true. Sometimes Micah just be like, just go sit down. Just go sit down. Just go relax. Can you relax for 2 seconds? And then I'll just be sitting. I'll fidget for like 5 seconds. I ain't gonna hold you up. But then
I got an example. Perfect example. 2 weeks ago, Caleb had the day off, and I'm like, "Baby, no." Matter of fact, I had the day off. This was just Friday, and you was like, "What you gonna do on your day off?" I said, "Sit in the house." That's the thing that people do. And Caleb looked at me like he was offended. Like, what are you talking about?
Like, you can do so much.
Caleb went in and out of the house yesterday on his day off so much that my phone was going crazy at work, because we have like a security system that notifies us every time somebody opens the front door. So at the beginning of the day, Caleb was cutting the grass.
Early.
I will tell you, from the time that Caleb started cutting the grass, which he did as soon as I left for work, we left out of the house at the same time. I left for work, he left to cut the grass outside. Till the time he left to go teach karate, my phone probably went off like 20 times. This man done went to 2 stores. He done went and got some sprinkler stuff. I'm just like, he just will not relax. Like,
I had to get some stuff done.
But that's just his mentality. I think that's cool. You do you, baby. You do you.
I'm gonna ask a question. I'm gonna ask you a question.
Okay.
But it's kind of hard to phrase it because I do it. So don't
okay.
Don't answer it from Don't answer from your everyday life.
What?
Okay, I'm gonna just ask because I'm making it weird and it's not a weird question. So, do you believe that men should open the door
Absolutely.
for women? Why?
Because I don't think that chivalry is tied to gender roles. I think that's a chivalry thing. Like, you should very much so open the door for your wife, your girlfriend. I think even your female friends, your mom, your grandma. I think that's a chivalry thing.
Is chivalry dead?
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
I think chivalry gets you a long way, and I don't even mean just. So I've noticed that kids and adults alike, especially in my family, like the adults in my family don't address other adults like auntie and uncle. It's the weirdest thing to me. Weirdest thing ever to me.
Wait, say it again?
Like, the adults in my family will call their aunt or uncle by their first name instead of saying auntie so-and-so or uncle so-and-so.
Oh, yeah.
That's the weirdest thing ever to me.
And I feel like it's the complete opposite on my side. Because I feel like
As it should be.
People be getting cut. Like, who you just say?
You should be. Like,
no, her name is Auntie Micah. I know she was my girlfriend and my fiance. You better call her Auntie.
Learning. You better leave them babies alone.
They ain't your friend.
I feel like Shiloh only called me auntie when he about to abuse me.
Or ask you for something.
Like, we was watching TV on the couch. Shiloh was holding my arm for dear life. I said, Lord, we just watching Wreck-It Ralph. I know he's not scared.
On the edge.
He a bully. That's really what it was. He was twisting my arm like this.
Boy, he's trying to give you an Indian burn. All right.
But, yeah, I think chivalry is important. I think staying out of grown folks' business is important. There's, like, chivalry and just having a respect for your partner, like a mutual respect for your partner. Mind you, I have short arms, and obviously car doors work a little bit differently now. But I would try to open the door for you. Like, once you open the car door for me and let me in the car, like, I'll reach over.
That is a test, though. That is a test.
I'll try to reach over and open a door for you.
Fellas, I will say that if she don't open the door for you, you might as well just leave her where she at. Cause that's just messed up. It's like, hold on, this is a two-way street. So now what you saying is you better open. In my head, it's you better open that door, and you better open your own door. And in my head, it's just like I don't know. It could just go south. You got to make sure.
I didn't even know that you paid attention to me.
Heck yeah, girl. That's why I ain't say nothing.
Lord,
because you had opened the door.
So what would you have been thinking if I hadn't opened the door?
The conversation probably would have went different. I probably would have asked you something totally different. Like, so, is chivalry dead? And like, no, you just opened the door for me. But did you open the door for me?
Lord, we definitely talked about that too. Like people who was weirded out that you was chivalrous, and I'm like, that's dumb.
Oh
I
yeah.
will say one thing though. I don't like flowers. I don't like flowers, and it's not that I don't think flowers are pretty. And I ain't gonna lie, I like the idea of getting flowers. I ain't gonna do nothing with no flowers. They're gonna be dead. I'm not gonna feed them.
I'm not
putting
wife.
no stems. I might keep the vase, but we don't really have no room for an extra random vase.
Yeah.
Give me an edible arrangement. Something I could get multiple. You
Yeah.
get multi-purpose out of it. You get the pretty vase. And then you get to eat the fruit. And I get nourishment from my body, which makes me feel like you care about me.
So what are some, I'm trying to think of some gender roles that are out there.
Today or like in general?
Both.
I would say today there's this 50-50 mentality. That's a huge thing where some people are like 100% we split everything 50-50.
Oh, I got you.
Or everybody else is still like trying to stick to the traditional sense of, oh, I'm a woman and I cook, so I want you to pay the bills, or I do laundry, so I want you to do X, Y, and Z. Now, mind you, I can't cut no grass. I ain't cut no grass, and Caleb ain't asked me to cut no grass, and I ain't volunteered to cut no grass. But if the grass needed to be cut and something was happening,
I'm going to show
Caleb, listen. Also, I'm pretty sure that there are certain things that I do that Caleb just is not doing, but that does not mean he's not willing to learn them.
Like what?
I don't know. I can't think of nothing.
Oh.
I don't know.
You stumped me. I was like, wait, what?
I don't know. But yeah, like sewing or crocheting. Like this, I don't know.
We haven't had a need for that.
That's
not a tab. That's not really a tab. That's a hobby.
Anywho, with the exception of the grass, we pretty much do everything like together.
Tandem.
We don't really have like a whole gender role based system. I think that's silly.
Yeah, that's almost short of me like, woman, you better not do that. It's
and
like, huh?
That was another reason why I had to check my thinking, because I'm gonna expect you to help me with everything. Like,
and I'm okay with that. That's why I'm
big
here.
facts.
That's
I'm
why
just
I'm here.
Be like, yeah. So I'm gonna just expect this to get done. And granted, Caleb was raised right, so he does a lot of stuff.
And I'm not even gonna hold y'all up. Because people be like, oh my God, common sense is just not so common. That's a lie. I feel like people really just be trying to use that as a cop-out and they just be lazy. Because 9 times out of 10, especially if it's people that I know and my relatives.
Really just trifling. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Just trifling.
I know people who are married and their husbands, like, don't take out the trash. They don't help them clean up. But then come home from work and be looking at them like, oh, did you cook dinner? Like, bro, what?
Yeah.
Like, that's the problem. Maybe that's just the difference. Like, I don't have an issue with gender roles because I don't have to. I feel like we just operate in a partnership, so it works. Like, for us, it just works. But for people who are stuck in a place where, like what do you do? Like, if, like, I don't like to drive, and then I'm expecting you to drive me all around all the time. Like, what happens when you get tired of driving? Like, we just not going nowhere? Like, how does that work?
Just gonna sit
How does that work?
But yeah, I think it's really interesting because I definitely see it play out. I don't think it's been verbalized, at least not out in the open, maybe within the confines of their own home. But I feel like I definitely see it play out more now than ever. And I think
what, gender roles?
Gender roles, where it's like
really?
This unsaid or this unspoken, like this is just what it is. Like it's now I am gonna say it is different if you are planning or you are like a stay-at-home husband or wife. because then that just brings on another set of responsibilities. Because
being a stay-at-home anything is a full-time job.
Right.
Full-time job.
But I think people don't get enough credit for when they do that. They just think like, oh, they on vacation, they not doing nothing. Their significant others just doing all of the work. Well, that's not necessarily the case. But it's different when, like, again, the definition of, I'm going to give you guys the Webster definition of trifling. Doesn't have trifling. Doesn't have a G. It's not trifling. It's trifling.
Like
it's when
chitlins instead of chitterlings. Go ahead.
Ew. It's what trifling is when you know better and you don't do better. Period. You can use that for any circumstance. Trifling is when you know better and you don't do better. So it's like, I think I know people where I don't know if it's really the city girls just getting in people's brains. Because this is like, dude, that ain't gonna work for you. The one girl is in jail. So it's like,
the other one is pregnant, so.
Exactly. You see where she at. So city girls, I'm sorry, it's a cold summer for y'all. It's no longer a hot summer for y'all.
I mean, it could still be a hot summer.
They trying to be hot for the wrong reasons. I think that's the thing, though.
Like, people hear stuff in songs and they really try to live this, like, stuff out.
That ain't you, my baby.
Or, like, you don't know all the aspects of the stuff that they talking about.
It's a song.
100% also true. So, anyway, like, for some of the stuff, they not even the ones writing the lyrics. They just rapping it.
Lil Yachty.
Very, very true. But yeah, I just think that's foolish to try to operate in that way. Oh, back to the whole budgeting and money thing. So up until the point where me and Caleb got a joint account, obviously we were looking at our finances as separate. We knew going into marriage that we were going to be taking on debt, whether it be from me or from him, but we had already established this our debt. Because one of us can't be debt-free if the other one debt-free. Like, it just does not work like
what
that.
I'm about to do, I'm going to just go somewhere without you? Or
like, she couldn't come. She had bills to pay this month.
What?
Like,
that'd be dirty.
Like,
oh, that'd be dirty.
I left her the crib.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I think that's something else that we just really have recently mastered. So once we joined our accounts and like just started pooling our money together, we low-key about to be rich. And I just can't wait. Rich!
And those don't walk into your job like Jeffrey.
Caleb also keep telling strangers that I'm his sugar mama. But
no, they asked me. They put it on you, and I just be agreeing because it's funny.
It's really not funny. It's really not funny. It makes me feel old.
Or that you're rich. You think you got to think with the glass half full.
You the one with the guap.
And just because you old, what's wrong with you being old? We're going to be old sooner or later.
That's true.
And it's going to be still lit.
Also true.
And we're going to be more rich. Anyways.
Also true.
But, yeah, I just think that, to go back to what I was saying about the unspoken gender roles, I think people come with these expectations, and sometimes they aren't always verbalized to their significant other. They just kind of float autonomously with, it's a difference between living with somebody and, I'm trying to think of the word, just basically, what is it, what's the word I'm looking for? Coexisting. Mm-hmm. Where you living with somebody, that means you're going through everything together. I feel like that's where, to circle back to what you were saying in terms of it being a partnership. Now, that's something different than coexisting, where y'all kind of just doing your own thing, and then y'all basically just meet back at home. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And I think that has been more normalized than I think has been really talked about, in terms of people just really, they'll literally do their own thing. They'll go to work. The other person go to work. They got their set of friends. The other person got their other set of friends, which is completely normal. But y'all doing everything separate.
You're not doing life together.
Yeah, and I think that is only going to drive y'all apart. Like, what's keeping y'all together at that point?
Yeah. So I guess, my question would be, you personally, do you see yourself as a quote unquote typical man, and me as a typical woman? By society's standards.
Let's see. What is a typical man?
I would say no, for all the right reasons. In my mind, a typical man is supposed to be hard. They're supposed to be stern. They're not communicators. They don't really talk. Men aren't supposed to be the intelligent ones. They don't talk as much as women do. They are better with their hands. They're strong. They're not afraid of anything. All of that kind of stuff. I don't think that you are in that kind of a box. I think you are very in touch with your feelings. You are good at communicating those feelings. You don't really hesitate to communicate those feelings. And I think that that actually helps you be a better man.
I would say the reverse, and not reverse as in you're not that you are a typical woman, but I would say kind of reverse in terms of some of the stuff that you said, because I think what are some stereotypes of women that y'all talk too much, that you're only a woman for money,
I do.
oh Lord. Anyways,
Give me that big daddy.
but in terms of just communication, I feel like
Or that women are funny, because clearly I am.
Okay, here we go. Anyways, Micah is a chatty patty, but it's not negative.
I'm not.
It's not in a negative way, where she just be like, she's not the stereotypical woman that be just and you can, if y'all close your eyes right now, I guarantee that you can envision somebody on the phone like a phone with a wire that's hooked up to the wall and just like wah 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 wah.
I just pictured Smokey Mama from Friday.
Exactly. Exactly. So I don't think she's like that. I think Micah does a really good job at not including herself where it's just like she just be asserting herself and stuff that she don't need to. Just being my helper. I think it goes a long way that, I'm still getting used to having somebody that's basically like, what do you want me to do? I can't do something if you don't tell me what you need me to do. So like Micah said, I'm usually running or I'm on the go doing X, Y, and Z. But, to have somebody say, okay, let's do this. You got 1, 2, and 3 to do. I'm going to do 4, 5, and 6. Let's split up and let's do that. And then next thing you know, all of them is done. Instead of me trying to run around and do everything at the same time by myself while she just sitting here twiddling her thumbs like, oh, guess I'm not going to do nothing.
That's a man's job.
Yeah, nah. I mean, with the exception of, like Micah said, like with yard work and stuff like that, that's stuff that we're still learning. Like I've always learned. I learned how to cut the grass when I was like 10. So I've been cutting grass for a while. So until I get Micah comfortable enough so she can do certain things that I also know how to do, then, that's just going to be what it is. But in terms of, like, we both cook, we both clean, we both wash clothes. It's like the things that I feel like women are told to, or not told, but the things that are portrayed that women are supposed to only do, I feel like we both do.
Yeah. So with that being said, how do you feel like we should be teaching gender roles or not gender roles to our children? And I just want to make this clear. I don't think that having established gender roles in certain regards is a bad thing. Like, I think little boys should behave like little boys and little girls should behave like little girls. And what I mean by that is I in no way, shape, form, or fashion feel like my kid can't play certain sports because they're a girl or vice versa. I don't feel like my son should not learn certain chores because they're a boy and vice versa. I do feel my son gonna dress like a boy and my daughter is gonna dress like a girl. Mm-hmm. My son is gonna know to open doors for women and my daughter is gonna know how to allow a man to be a man for her. How a man should respect her, how a woman should respect him.
And that's partially.
That's what I mean by that.
I wouldn't even say partially. I feel like majority of that is my responsibility. Because I'm her first example. In
terms of that, yes. But I think we're an example as a couple. In terms of defining like what a man should be, that's majority. I mean, we can tell them to do stuff all day long and teach them to do stuff all day long, but if we ain't doing it, they ain't gonna care.
Facts. Big facts.
So I think that's a joint thing. But do you feel like there are certain things that as a daughter she should not be allowed to do? Like, what about curfew? What about dating?
Oh, they both gonna have curfews.
Are they gonna be the same curfew though?
Neither one of them are gonna be able to date until I'm gonna be real. Like, you ready to get married? I'm only 10. No, you don't need no girlfriend. What you running around here talking about? You got a boyfriend for?
So what happens if our daughter needs to have a talk about sex before our son does? How do we approach that?
Well, it depends. Because if they're not twins, if she's significantly younger than him, we're gonna have a conversation. What is happening at this school? Because why is that even being brought up? But
who said that she learned it at school though?
Where's she gonna learn it at?
Other kids
At school.
TV.
Nah, she watching. She gonna be watching BVN. She watching all the Word Network. But you know, I don't think there's gonna be an issue because both of them are gonna have a talk. It might not be at a specific age, and I think what one of the examples that I have is my brother. He's talked to, like, I have a nephew now. Oh my gosh, this dude about to be in high school, but he's talked to him in different stages of his life and has given him basically the talk in increments. Like, he's giving him just tidbits information so he can understand, rather than you basically just trying to have a horny teenager at 16 and they trying to go, and then you like, oh, well, this is the birds and the bees, and when you got a girl that you like, this is what you do. Like, no, by that point he already got his mind made up. She already got her mind made up. So, you know, you kind of got to make sure that I feel like that's what we'll have to do, and that's the same situation or the same thing that we're going to do anyway. We're going to give them bits and pieces of information in relation to religion, in relation to Christianity, and in that regards to everything. Everything's going to have to be lumped in together, and that all ties back into how we should bring them up.
I think that's a great point too, and I think that's also something that people try to use the word for a lot, like trying to create gender roles and gender stereotypes out of messages in the Bible without
context. A lot of times
without context, but also taking the Bible very, very literally. And for example, what I said earlier about a man being a protector and a provider, that does not mean that as women we have to sit on our hands and be helpless. Because I'm not going to always be, you know, Caleb's not going to always be at our house to protect us if something jump off, like, oh, well, I guess since I'm not the protector or the provider, me and the kids just about to die because somebody just broke in. Absolutely not, because I'm going to shut it down with this mossberg.
Now, what happened?
But also, he laughing because he know I'm serious. I'm so serious.
She's so small. And I just envision her with this long neck gun.
Anywho.
Bruh.
Yeah, they should envision me with it too.
But the thing that I try to make a point to, and I still do, is even if you can't get to a gun, I make a point for Micah to know how to defend herself.
But that's because I shouldn't have to wait on a man to protect me.
I'm not gonna be there.
I'm not gonna wait on a man to protect me.
I'm not gonna always be there.
What sense does that make? I'm not a damsel in distress.
And that's what it all comes down to. I had to make sure that you are taken care of whether I'm here or not.
But I don't feel like that's solely be your responsibility.
No, it's not. But I'm saying I gotta do my due diligence because I have knowledge that I can give you.
So I was saying that to say that I think male masculinity within Christianity is like another thing that has to be addressed when it comes to gender roles, because women put certain stereotypes on a man based off of him being a man, and will use scripture to back that up. A perfect example of this is, you know, husbands and wives and who submits to who. Wives, you are supposed to submit to your husband. Well, yeah, but husbands are also supposed to submit to their wives.
But that's what I'm saying. And what you were saying in terms of out of context, people only read one scripture. I'm saying like people got to read the scripture before and after, or read the whole chapter. Like
absolutely, that's exactly what I'm saying about people trying to pervert the word.
Because that's the next scripture.
Their narrative. I mean, it's really no different than any of the other terrible stuff that people try to use the Bible to fit their agenda for. Yeah. But even with that, like, you can't just sit up and say, oh, I'm supposed to just do whatever you say. Like, I went to a wedding. Matter of fact, it was my brother's wedding. And the person, the officiant was telling my sister-in-law that she needed to submit to my brother. And at the time, I don't even remember if he read the rest of the scripture. And mind you, my sister-in-law, she's been saved for a long time. She has been a member of this particular church literally all my life, and I'm sure even longer than that. But she kind of laughed and smirked which I'm sure she didn't. She might have meant it seriously. I don't know. But I think it's just interesting that they took it to be like something as a joke. Because when we got to that part of our ceremony, we already knew what was up. Like, I'm not about to laugh. Like, yeah, I submit to him because he submits to God, but he's going to submit to me as, the same. So I think just having that understanding before I started going to premarital with Caleb, and before I started even learning the Bible on my own, I just always just thought that was it. Like, oh, wives are supposed to be submissive. That ain't true. That's a lie. And you don't get to basically grab me by my hair like some cave woman, throw me down and be like, all right, we about to have sex so you can make these babies. And then after we finish, you can go and cook this dinner.
That's
absolutely
how you go
not.
to jail.
If anything, I'm throwing you down. And then after I finish, you going to go pour me some Pepsi. But anyway.
Wait a minute now. Jesus Christ. I'm about to go get me some water.
Give me some too.
You tripping.
But saying that to say, like, I think that it's very important to really get to the root and the understanding of why gender roles were constructed. I know, like, obviously during the baby boomer time, gender roles had to shift even more because a lot of our men were off at war. So women taking on that responsibility, and then the shift happened even further because at that point, we're no longer just domiciles or domestics, We're no longer just at home being Susie homemaker or with Home and Garden magazine, somewhere that's green. We are out here like working. We're breadwinners. We're successful. We're doing all these things. And I think to explore gender roles and the way that they've been constructed, we also have to acknowledge the fact that they are a part of a system that has been put in place, especially in the Black community, to really degrade our relationships and break up our relationships. Like, oh, I don't need no man. Sis, what? Yes, you do.
Yeah.
And he needs you too.
He gonna pay for everything, and I ain't gonna pay for nothing.
That's also
like, dog, you have a full-time job. Where's the rest of your money going? Like, where's your money going? I don't get it.
I don't know. Now, I will say, I think that's a dangerous expectation to have on both ends. Like, as your woman, can I really assume in this day and age that you're going to be paying for everything? Imagine, I dated somebody who was like that. I paid for one thing one time. They let me pay for something, and it was because it was their birthday. And even though, like, I tried to pay, initially, I had already told him, like, yeah, I'm taking you to brunch or whatever for your birthday. And he was like, oh, okay. But when we got there, like, he was still adamant that he was paying for it. And I'm like, no, bro, I got it.
You can't live in extremes. Like, there is no everything, all or nothing.
I would say that just really depends on if that is something that works for you, though. Like, you can definitely date somebody. Like, I'm pretty sure, first of all, dating is very different than marriage. Because when you're married, ain't no your money and my money. Like, right. Either way, we got to pay for this. Like, if you my spouse and you broke, we broke.
Look, I don't care.
This look bad on both of us.
I don't care right? Where the money coming from. I appreciate every penny you bring in this house.
Like, but saying that to say, I think if it works for you, if you're in a position, whether you are the male or the female, if y'all have had a conversation and you are comfortable paying for everything, if you are comfortable being the one who always cooks, if you are comfortable with being the only one who does like the dishes or sweeping or mopping or laundry or whatever, that's a conversation that y'all need to have. I don't think it's ridiculous to say that because I'm a woman and you're a man that we should have to do it a certain way. Because if that don't work for us, but we great together, then what? Like, oh well, I guess that's it. Because we couldn't figure out how to be adults and make it work. Like, that's dumb. Or what if you just genuinely never learned something that's supposed to be considered a skill that a man has? Like, what if you not that handy? Am I just going to be like, oh, well, you less of a man because you can't fix the kitchen sink? If you ain't never needed to fix your kitchen sink, that's stupid.
I just learned how to change a tire like a couple years ago. I ain't going to hold you up. Now because my tire got flat and my boy was like, bro, you don't know how to change a tire? I'm like, look, bro, you going to have to show me. You only got to show me once or twice and I got it. But I ain't never had to change no tire before. I would have been on the side of 96 like, excuse me, Richard AAA, can you come get me? 'Cause I don't know what I'm doing. And before I ruin this car,
Like, oh, you still got the wheel locks on, buddy.
man, that's what I had to learn. I thought you just detach that mug.
I know how to change a tire.
Bingo.
But yeah, I think that's just something that has to be discussed, something that you have to have a level of comfortability with your partner on in order to find that common ground. There are certain things that I expect from Caleb 100% to be doing as my husband. But none of those things are things that Caleb already just does not feel like he should be doing as a man. Like, I'm not expecting him to be doing anything crazy. Like, I just expect him to be himself. I expect him to be respectful of me and of our home and be chivalrous and help me. And I expect him to expect those things of me.
Girl, yeah, because I've been needing your help.
I got you. So I just try to make sure, like, at the end of the day, I can't ask him to do something for
That you
me
wouldn't do.
that I'm not willing to do for him. Because that's going to get played. I know a lot of people who are like, oh, yeah, when I was growing up, my mama never paid for nothing. That's why your daddy died at 50 of a heart attack.
Jesus Christ.
Big facts.
That just got real dark.
I mean, but it's the truth. Like, he was putting a lot of unnecessary stress on himself that he probably didn't have to put on himself. That's why he was never home, because he was working at the plant until he was 62. Like, this is just not the era that we live in. And that's not even to say, like, that's a bad thing. It's just a realistic scenario that we have to accept, that we don't necessarily have to do things that way.
It's just, I mean, it really just go back to two. Two is just better than one.
My goal is for us to both be stay-at-home parents. When we could get there,
Well, yeah, it's 2019. Give me about 2.5. Maybe 2.5 years. We'll be
I
in
don't
the
even
crib.
think it's gonna take that long.
I'm just giving us
We both got a lot of
I'm
side
overshooting.
hustles.
I'm overshooting. So when we make it before, it's gonna be like, dang, remember that one time I said 2.5 when we moved out? We did that in 6 months. Yeah, bang.
Word. So yeah, I think that gender roles are just really not a modern concept, in a way that to try to revert back to that thinking would be very detrimental to a relationship, because that's just not the time that we live in. But I also think that it's very, very significant for you to have conversations with your significant other, especially if you guys are married, to have an understanding of who's doing what, who's comfortable doing what, who's not comfortable doing what. Because you always find somebody that's willing to do what you need them to do. But if you don't never ask those questions, then how you gonna know? You don't have to settle.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you are somebody who wants a traditional relationship, you still don't have to have a conversation with somebody. Don't go into it like, oh, well, I was taught that my wife should cook dinner every night and do the dishes, and I don't got to do nothing, and I'm going to sit on the couch with my feet up until the food done, and then she going to fix my plate. No, that's not how you approach that situation. You should be asking the person that you're in a relationship with, how do they feel about when they come home from work as well, because I'm sure they're going to be working. We not that old, and I don't know nobody that's in a position where they just on their own working from home every day and they single. What happens when you come home from work? Like, who's cooking? Are we taking turns cooking? Like, what are we doing? If that don't work for you, just be like, okay, well, I was operating the assumption that things would be a little bit different. If that doesn't work for you, cool, deuces, back off. But you got to be willing to be realistic with that person, realistic with yourself, and understand that you might not get what you're asking for. And you could lose out on the baddie.
It gotta be. It has to be a discussion. That's what it all boils down to. You can't go in with these blind expectations, then you be pissed because you ain't getting what you want, but you haven't verbalized.
Then that just made me think of something that one of our friends posted on Facebook last week. Mind you, he posts crazy stuff all the time. But he said that he was talking to some dude, an old head, and I quote, and the dude was saying that his wife don't cook or clean or something to that effect. And our friend asked, like, well, why did you marry her lazy self? And that's a nicer way than what he said. But my question is, and the guy apparently like didn't know, but my question is, like, when is he unhappy with her? Like, is he genuinely happy with her? Like,
he gonna have to be unhappy.
Their relationship. I'm confused.
Look, man.
I have so many questions.
I have love for everyone in this world. But if somebody came at you like that, there would be no discussion. There would be no discussion.
Shut it down, baby.
All 4 knuckles, because I'm not including my thumb, will be slapping them.
Yeah.
Like, you not about to...
But I wonder, I said that to say, I wonder if that plays a factor into their relationship. Like, maybe he harboring some type of resentment. And for some reason in my mind, I just imagine this person as like Ike Turner. But...
Jeez.
Not like the real Ike Turner, like the Lawrence Fishburne.
He was still hitting her.
I mean, yeah, but I don't mean like with the abuse. I just mean like somebody who talks like Ike Turner. Like, oh, so you ain't gonna get in there and cook them dishes? Oh, all right.
Cook the dishes.
All right. Yeah, all right, Anna Mae, you better get in there and cook them green beans. All right.
And then when he hungry.
Oh, you can't cook. Mama ain't teach you how to cook. Like, I just imagine somebody like that, and I just was like, how do you end up with somebody in a relationship if that's a problem? Because clearly it is if you let somebody else demean your spouse and call them lazy.
That's crazy.
How is it?
But he agreed with.
That's what I mean. Like,
because even if you don't
get,
if you give no response, that's a response. I don't know why I married her. Or if you just don't even, if you don't nip that in the bud, like, it's all jokes until it's not a joke. And by that I mean, you can joke, you can kid, but ain't gonna be no a kiki if you go too far. Like, I'm gonna check you. Like, that's just what it gotta be.
I'm working on my attitude and my anger, but I shut you down about my husband. And that was before he was my husband.
Chitty chitty bang bang.
But I'm working on myself.
Yeah, because we gotta pay the
The
mortgage.
Lord
We
is
can't be
working
going
on
to jail. You feel me?
Also true.
We don't live in Florida with those ridiculous gun rules.
Well, we told Major to have the bill money ready.
Major, get the money ready.
He ain't gotta have it right now. We don't need it. We good. But I think that's a good note to end it on. If you had what's one song
About gender roles?
No.
Oh.
You ain't let me finish. So what's one song that you feel like people listen to today and really think that's how gender roles are supposed to be?
Act Up by the City Girls. That's what I've been seeing it on my timeline for the last 3 months.
I was gonna say Money by Cardi B, but they both in the same realm.
Nah, I feel like it's all act up. And there's people that don't even act like that. Like, you never was ghetto. It's like you never been poor to the point where you felt like you had to scam somebody as your source of income. Like, just stop it. Just stop. Stop.
That's real.
JT is not Colossians. Y'all sit up here living y'all life like
I'm not about to play with
JT.
you.
That's how people live it. It's just like, oh my God, did you hear what she said?
I think that's more so the attention that they get for saying it, though. I don't think that has anything to do with the stuff they're actually saying. I think it's just the fact that, one, women don't really get to talk cash like that, but do it all the time. And then, two,
I give you that.
the attention that they get from Drake or from whoever, like, that
Just don't be a bird.
Opinion.
That's all it comes down to. Just don't be a bird.
Bird is the word. But all right, we about to go in here and eat this good roast that I have prepared for dinner, and then go see Mom play some baseball, and we will catch y'all next time.
Holla.
Bye.